Alright YouTube, you're about to see the first couple of this PSA 18-inch 6.5 Grendel with the Shepherd 1:8 second focal plane scope on it. I'm going to zero the scope and then hopefully I can get more. They're actually doing an event today, so I don't know if I'm going to get to or not, so we'll see. By the way, I've already got something negative to say about this 18-inch upper, and I haven't shot it yet. It's not a huge deal, but locationally where their gas block is versus the rail, whenever you're mounting your bipod to it, you have to mount your bipod to a certain location on it, and I don't like that. Like, you can't maximize that rail because of where the gas block is located. I don't like that. Alright, so we'll see how close this is. Go to another target. Well, first round ran fine through the gun, it feels like. So my initial impressions of the 18-inch PSA with the 1:8 Shepherd scope on it is awesome so far. The first two groups that I shot out of the gun were sub MOA, and the scope tracked exactly where I wanted it to in order to move my point of impact. So we're about to scoot back some, and I'm going to see a little bit more what I can do with this thing. If I have time today, I'm going to do a scope tracking test, and I'll let you guys know how that goes. So right now, I am at the target. The target that I've set up, I'm going to be, you see it's down there. I'm doing a tall target test on the Shepherd 1:8 second focal plane mil scope. And I've got the target down there, and I've measured out 100 centimeters to be right there. You can't really see the line well, but 100 centimeters is right there. That's where the line is. I've also used this level to make sure that the target is actually level with where I'm shooting from. And what else? Oh yeah, and then I've got my tape measure because it's such a precise way of doing it. You can't use an LRF. You can't use an LRF to do this. You have to use a tape measure and actually step it off. So I'm about to go 100 meters away. I'm going to shoot a group, and then after I shoot the group, I'm going to adjust if I need to, and if not, then I'm going to adjust 10 mils up and shoot another group, and then I'll adjust back down, and I'll let you guys know what the percentage of scope tracking error is. As I've said before, if you have a percentage of scope tracking error, that doesn't mean that you have a garbage scope or anything like that. It just means that you need to account for it in your firing solution. I'm also going to be checking the mil relation. I'm going to see if the mils that are etched in the reticle are right as well. Sometimes the reticle will be right, but your turrets will not be right. Your adjustments in your turrets won't be right. So I'm going to find all that stuff out today because, like I'd said before, I plan on shooting this gun in the designated marksman match on April 11th at Chris Roberts designated marksman match. That's what I plan on shooting that in. I'm just going to start shooting stuff. See guys, this right here is why we have privates in the Army, so that we don't gotta do shit like this. Say, hey Private, grab this tape measure and run down. No, I'm not gonna shoot you unless you backtalk me again. Actually, we can't say stuff like that anymore. I figured out where 100 meters is. It's right there. I marked it with that, with actually the tip of it, just the tip of it though. And I'm gonna go back down range, grab the tape, bring it back over here. I'm gonna bring my truck back here. I'm gonna set up here, and where 100 meter mark is, I should go ahead and start walking. Where the 100 meter mark is, that's where your scope needs to be. Emphasis on the scope, where your turrets are, because that's where your adjustments are coming from. So, I mean, like, I know most of you guys are like, well, even if it's the front of the gun, that could only be a meter max if you've got a long ass barrel and and all this other shit. And I'm like, okay, well, that would be 1/10 of a centimeter. I get it. I totally get it. A 1/10 of a centimeter. Roger. But we're dealing with precision here. So this has to be super precise. No, every single piece of human error that gets added into this. Like right now I'm using this tape measure and stuff like that. That incorporates a little bit of human error right there. Every piece of human error adds up. So if I can mitigate as much human error as possible out of this test, I'm going to, for accuracy reasons. And that's all I have to say about that. So, the target, 100 meters away. I'm going to be shooting at the top right using Hornady American Gunner 123 grain boat tail hollow points. And like I'd said before, I'd made an adjustment on this scope. So, yeah, anyway, let's see how this turns out. Okay, not too far off. Rushed that last shot, but that's still like a half MOA group or something. Bottom right is the diamond I was going for. The gun functioned 100%, and that's with like basically the cheapest brass case ammo that you can get for a 6.5 Grendel. I don't know of anything cheaper. I can't hand load 6.5 Grendel cheaper than I can buy this. And I just shot, you know, and I know people are gonna be like, well, it was only a 3-shot group. Every group I've shot out of this so far has been sub MOA, so maybe we'll be able to maintain that, maybe not. Once I throw 10 mils on this scope, you know, that might change. Looks like I need to make an adjustment though. Actually, you know what? I'll just shoot one, because I had a somebody comment on my YouTube and say that you can't make adjustments based off of one shot, and he also called me unprofessional and stuff like that. He's not wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know why you guys are watching my videos right now. Alright, so this is going on the bottom left. So I'm going to bring it another 1/10 to the right, and I'm going to bring it down another 2/10. Okay. So the reason why I think that you can, in some cases, adjust off of one shot is because if your gun shoots quarter MOA and you know it was a good shot, then chances are whenever you make your adjustments, you're gonna be there, you know. So, and also your adjustments, like for a mil scope, every 1/10 of a mil adjustment that you make at 100 meters is 1 centimeter of movement on target. Where at 100 yards, it's 0.36 inches, so it's more than 1/4 of an inch. And junk. All right. Top. No, I'm going for the same target. If I'm not mistaken, that was just left of bull. Not even gonna lie to you guys right now. I just tried to slip my turrets on this scope, and it was a little bit of a pain. So I may have messed up my adjustments in doing so. We offend to find out right now. So I'm going to shoot my group that is going to be the one that I adjust off of, because I've got my scope zeroed out now. And I mean, if it's a little bit off, it's probably because I moved it by accident while I was trying to slip the turrets. And I'll just adjust that accordingly after, because it's not really going to affect the content of this video. So, without further ado, let's shoot a group at 100 meters. That was my bad. I do not have a form of reference at the top of the reticle, as you guys saw, a point of reference at the top, so I don't have a vertical line at the top, so that makes it a little bit difficult. I also don't have a bubble level on this gun, so I'm gonna kind of have to wing it, which is definitely something that I shouldn't wing, but that's what I typically say. I'm gonna wing this anyway. But for informational purposes, as long as the point of impact is still 100 centimeters high, then it doesn't matter. What you can measure with your horizontal stringing is your cant. You can measure how much cant you have, but that's not what we're doing here. We're checking the scope tracking horizontal for a percentage of error. All right, so right now the scope is at 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust up 10 mils. You know what? Not going to count all those. All right, we're going to go on ahead around. All right, so we're back at where we started. Yay, lock it back down. All right, now we offend to use the same point of aim and hopefully have a point of impact that is 100 centimeters high, or 1 meter, wherever you're from. I did not wear my glasses for that. I apologize to the sensitive folk. All right. Not sure where those went. I'm gonna go ahead and take my turret. Back down to 0. All right, back down to 0, and I'm going to fire another group. Gun's getting hot. Gun's getting hot, guys. Gun's getting hot. All right, see if it returned to 0. I'm going top left. Second shot didn't feel good, but we'll find out whenever we get down range. I can't really see it. Okay, so here are the results. So the first group that I shot out of the gun, I had said is sub MOA. It's right there. Then I made an adjustment, and then I shot that shot right there. And then I made another adjustment, and then I shot there. And then I shot the group that was for, and I had called a pulled shot. It was right there. And then I shot the group that was for the adjustment, or for the 0 before adjustment. And then I made my 10 mil adjustment up. My impact was here. And as I had said, there would be some horizontal stringing because I don't have a bubble level or a point of reference up here that I could have used that had a relation inside of the scope that I could have referenced off of. And then right there is where it should have been whenever I used my tape measure to figure out what my percentage of scope tracking error was. I came up with 3.5. Sorry. So I came up with a 3.5. Then I adjusted back down, and whenever I adjusted back down, I had this group right here, and I called a bad shot right here. So something I'm going to take away from this is I'm going to go ahead and say, just based on what I did, that it is not a 3.5% scope tracking error. I think it's closer to 2. I would have to do more testing, but it is not 0. It doesn't have a 0% scope tracking error. As I've said before, I've had loopholed scopes, night force scopes. I've had all kinds of scopes that did not track perfectly, and they're, you know, super high dollar and stuff like that. Is 2% scope tracking error, or 2.5 or 3, whatever, is that acceptable for me? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because now I know that I would need to account for that in a firing solution. But I don't use turrets. I don't dial. I hold. So I'm gonna get some velocity data off of that ammunition that I'm using, and I'm gonna back up and start shooting steel. So what me and my partner is doing right now, one of the little training things that we do is kind of like a check on learning, a sort of a test, is we'll pick a random spot on this range and stop. And then once we stop there, we'll laze the target from wherever we are and we'll shoot from there. Instead of doing like exactly 300, exactly 400, exactly 500 yards, we might be at like 375 or 450 or something like that. And then we'll start shooting at, like little 6 and 8 inch targets just to, confirm stuff. It's good fun. All right, AJ, you spotting?
Yep.
All right.
Where? 3 o'clock. Center.
Swinging.
Yep. 5 o'clock.
Hit it while it was swinging. 375. Okay, so we're at 525 yards right now, and I'm shooting at an 8 inch plate. So I've been shooting at the same target. We've been, just shooting at like little random distances, but like I'm trying out the rifle, which includes the optic, ammunition, shooter combination, because like I'd said, this would be like a designated marksman type setup. So I'm about to try to shoot this 8 inch plate at 525 from a comfortable position. So let's see if it'll do it or not, or if I can do it more like it. All right, spotter ready?
Spotter ready. No call. Hit.
I was holding too much left on the second shot.
Roger that.
Yeah, so I was holding too much left. So for this to only be 600 yards, I mean, it is an 8 inch target or whatever, but for it to only be 600 yards, this is a hard shot. You got 5.5 mils of bullet drop. 5.5 mils of bullet drop. All right, you spot for me, AJ? Hope so. All right. 5.5 mils of bullet drop. Not used to that. Used to laser beams. Man, that target is small. Boy! Alright, so been shooting this gun for, 3 range visits now, and I've shot pretty much exclusively the Hornady American Gunner 123 grainers out of it because they shot well and they're inexpensive, so why not? I've pretty consistently gotten sub MOA out of it. Whenever I do my part, it's always sub MOA. This 18 inch PSA upper, like I'd said earlier, 2 of the problems that I have with it is the location of the gas block. It kind of prevents you from maximizing use of your rail. So there's that. Also, since there's not a whole lot of barrel sticking out of the end, it was impossible to put a magneto speed chronograph on the barrel to chrono the ammo. So we had to get creative with a chronograph to get some velocities out of it. But the Shepherd scope was awesome. Summer's between a 2 and a 3% scope tracking error, which is totally doable, especially for something like this, where I had said, you know, like my idea of a perfect designated marksman rifle. And right now we're actually at 600 yards, and I'm making consistent hits on an 8-inch plate using the Hornady American Gunner and this gun with the Shepherd scope. So all in all, I think the only thing I'm going to change about it before I shoot this in Chris's match is I'm going to put a Control Solutions muzzle brake on it. That will probably be the only thing I change about it. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hey C494, out.